So you're thinking to yourself, moving to Olympia might just be an absolute dream, and we want to make sure that dream doesn't turn into a nightmare. So we're going to tell you the insider secrets of why sometimes it's challenging for people to live here. And we're going to show you how to adapt to those obstacles so that this thing doesn't turn into a nightmare. Now, stick around because I'm going to share with you the absolute delicious reason some people don't like living here. And that's to their own fault, quite frankly.
Actually, yes, it is. And well, we're going to give you a lot of information that you may not have heard before. So stick around to the very end because it's going to be something quite dizzying at the end.
Absolutely.
We're a joint charity with the Live Well Home Group, and we help people all the time, just like you, who are deciding if the Pacific Northwest is the right area for them. So maybe Olympia might or might not be, but you are going to soon find out how you can adapt and live in this area and find it to be the best place ever.
The number one reason some people have a hard time with the Northwest is because of the rain, Olympia in particular. Now, I kind of like it. I think it's charming. I think it's a time to warm up with a cup of coffee, a whiskey. I don't know, I'm not even judging on any of that. However, you're thinking to yourself, well, what do you mean by rain? I mean 50 inches of rain per year. Matter of fact, we're better than Seattle. They only get 34 inches. So like we're 16 inches of rain better than them.
That seems like so much rain. And as you're watching the video, it looks like so much rain, but we've lived all up and down the West Coast. And we've lived from Bellingham, Everett, Seattle, Tacoma, and even though we get 16 more inches here, we can't tell the difference.
We can't tell the difference actually at all. And it's a different type of rain. For example, if you're from the South and maybe you're used to type storms that come in, I mean, we remember like in Austin that people would get 16 inches of rain in like a day and a half. Well, that's an issue for sure. And it really doesn't go that way. It's slowly, drizzly. I would say a little bit like this, but this is even a little bit of a heavier rain of what to expect when you get here. And it's going to last for quite a while. You're basically going to be starting sometime in late October, and that's going to go through May. So be aware of that. We do have sunny days. We have all of that intermixed in that, but it is one of those big rocks that sometimes we'll have a hard time to.
Yeah.
However, if you dress right, you can go out. It's a wonderful day to enjoy, I think.
Yeah. And in fact, the rainiest months are November, December, and January. And those are about 8 inches of rain for the whole month.
Yep.
So, you know, it rains like this and then it's not rainy. In fact, if you look on your weather app, it's going to look like it says 100% rain for maybe 10 days in a row. But when you live through those days, you're going to notice, no, it's not actually. It's actually rains for an hour or two, and then it's just cloudy. And then it may rain for a solid day, one of the days, but then it's not going to rain that much for the rest of the time. So it's really not raining constantly, but it can be gray.
It's about that. Definitely is gray. It's a lot like my beard today. It's very gray.
Very gray. Now, some of the things that happen because it's rainy here is people choose to drink coffee. We are very high coffee drinkers in the Pacific Northwest. As you know, obviously Starbucks is in this area. And you also, you're going to find some hobbies that are indoors because you don't want to get wet all the time. But besides that, you just need to go get a raincoat. Because a raincoat is going to let you get out in this any day that you want to, and usually a couple raincoats.
Yeah, you want to have the mid-weather one as far as for cold, and sometimes you want just a light one as it is in spring. But you're going to decide, you'll figure it out. But definitely, if you're prepared for it, it's really not that big of a deal.
And it is really beautiful. In fact, if you go out to the coast and go visit the ocean when it's rainy and stormy, it's so beautiful. It's amazing.
So yeah, storms on the coast are delightful and fun to observe. Watch the waves hit the shoreline, the rocks. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's great. So embrace it. You're going to love it. So the rain isn't the only thing that trips people up here. It's also the very dark winters.
So this is midday. This is absolutely midday, bright and sunshiny. Yeah, that's not happening. So you do have to get used to it because the dark days are upon us. And when we mean dark days, it wraps up the sunlight around 4:30, and that lasts for quite a while. So you got to get used to that and know that it's coming for sure.
Yeah. 4:30 is early. I mean, we're not like Alaska by any means,
No.
but 4:30 is early if you think about it. And it starts to feel kind of dim around 3:30. That's pretty significant.
Yeah. And then you wake up in the morning, incidentally, and it's going to be dark. And it's going to be dark to about 8-ish. Like during the winter months, like the whole slow days of November and December and January, it does feel pretty dark in the morning. You're waking up, it's still dark out. Getting off work, it's dark out. You have to kind of get familiar with that, because to some people that just seems like too much. It's not once you're used to it, because of the juxtaposition of the summer, to where it's sunny outside until 10 o'clock at night. I mean, you really do get to make up for it once you get to your spring and summer months and into October. Delightful!
Yeah, it's amazing. The summers are the absolute best here. I think there is no question about that, because it's beautiful. The weather is perfect. It is absolutely perfect. It's upper 70s to low 80s. And most of the summer, it is really sunny.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, we really don't have it.
Joe said 10 o'clock is so late to be out. In fact, fireworks don't start for 4th of July until like 10:30. So it's pretty late. But
I'm used to a late night.
Yeah, it's so great.
It's the best.
The darkness and the rainy days leads us directly to the third reason why you might want to consider whether or not you're going to move here to Olympia. All right, so the third thing that you're going to want to know about here is there is something called cold weather culture that plays a part here in the Pacific Northwest.
And cold weather culture is interesting because if you're from the South, you're going to find it a little bit different. Now, what I mean by that is in cold weather, we're used to, when it's outside, going from the car to the house, not standing around on our front yard. We're not waving at the neighbors. We're getting indoors. And at first they'd be off-putting, thinking, gosh, they're not very friendly up there. It's really not true. We're just cold and want to get indoors to get warm. Now in the South, there are different areas that are warm all the time. People come out, they're chitty-chatty, and they talk a lot. And it's a little bit of a difference of how people interact. And if you're not used to it, or if it's something that you're different from, you'd think, gosh, they're just quiet or they don't want to talk to me. That's not at all. Once we get to know you, we absolutely going to chitty-chat. You're going to come inside, you're going to hang out. We're probably going to become friends for life. You just got to get over that initial threshold of, people are warm and friendly. They are. They're just trying to get warm so that they can be friendly.
This is actually a sociological phenomenon that is talked about in a book by Sarah Lanier. And she talks about the difference between warm weather and cold weather cultures. And we definitely fit it here. But one of the things that you're going to notice is that once you become friends, you've got friends for life. So definitely it is not something to be afraid of. In fact, I've heard people say, is Olympia like Seattle freeze? Meaning that people in Seattle aren't very friendly. And we lived in Seattle, and I would say Olympia is not like that. Olympia is very friendly to people, and
for sure,
you can make friends easily and get out and meet people. And of course, in the warmer weather, people are out and about a lot more than in the rest of the year. But during the rest of the year, you're not going to see your neighbors very much.
Yeah, it's the opportunity zone. The opportunity zone is spring, summer, and into fall. Most of the time, once you get into weather like kind of walking around, people are indoors, not really spending a lot of time outside without some type of intention to be there, whether it's going to be a hike or even potentially getting on the water and doing those type of fun things. Those are all there, but it's more with intention as opposed to meandering.
Yeah, so definitely nothing to keep you away, just to be aware of. Now, since we have covered a lot of weather-related things, I think it's important for us to now jump to some land-related things connected here to the Olympia area.
Yes, and that would be my favorite thing. Now, some people call these a nuisance. Some people think they're horrible. Some people think that they're not even sure why they're on this planet. However, for me, I find them delightful, and we're going to talk about blackberries.
Blackberries, and some people who haven't lived here before don't really know that blackberries grow like a weed here. In fact, we are coming up on some blackberries here, and it's just, they're everywhere. They grow naturally, they grow big, they grow fast, they have vines that just will take over
space if they're not properly maintained. The reason we wanted to take it to this spot is we want to show you that it's a really nice neighborhood we're in. It's a couple blocks away from our house, actually. And there is a wonderful way that these can be maintained.
Here, let's do a little circle here.
Let's see here. These are all blackberry bushes all behind us here. and you think, man, that just kind of grows and grows. Yes, they do.
Yeah.
They truly do grow everywhere. However, you can make cobbler, you can make wine, you could make jam, pies, whatever you want. So many good options with blackberries, and we think they're delightful. I think it's kind of a little bit of the charm to the Northwest is we have an abundance of them. You do have to maintain them in your yard. You have to be aware of them. It's not something that should ever deter you from potentially buying a house at all. They're manageable. It does take some effort, does take some intention, but it's not something that can't easily be overcome.
Yeah, so you want to get yourself some good pruning shears. They do have a lot of stickers on them, so they're gonna stick you. But you want to get some good pruning shears. You just want to stay on top of it. You don't want to let them go because they will take over like they are over here. Any property that is not managed will get taken over by blackberries. But like Joe said, we have actually gone out and picked 12 gallons in one season and froze them and made everything that you can think of out of them. So if you want some recipes.
I felt so earthy during those moments. I felt really honestly proud of myself. Like I went fishing and caught a salmon earlier that day, brought it home, and then made all this. I think that would have been the best day ever. The Mariners would have won. That would have been the best day ever.
Northwest day ever.
That's not happening anytime soon.
But if you want some we got to just let us know what you like and we'll send them over to you. All right, the next land-related could-be issue here is the abundance of wetlands.
Wetlands.
And you're probably thinking, duh, because it rains there all the time. But in Olympia specifically, we have a lot of ravines, and that increases the wetland space. But that's problematic mostly for people when they want to build a house.
Yeah.
And that's because there are wetland delineations, and then there are setbacks, and then there are buffer zones. And so you get a piece of property and it looks like it might be big enough to build on, and then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's important to know that even if you're going to be putting an addition on your house, you want to know that ahead of time.
Yeah. A lot of this has to do with a lot of the rural areas have septic systems. And so that has the impact on the setbacks of where the house could be. So just very much be aware of that. If you are considering, hey, I'd love to move to the Northwest and build a house, you're going to want to take some time during your feasibility study to make sure that the property will work for how you would like it to work, because this is a real big deal. And if you're not used to that type of wetland setbacks, and if you're not used to that type of environmental impact and conscientiousness, you're going to want to know that that is a big rock that you're going to want to consider. And it may either deter you to building or just finding a property where the builder's already done that on your behalf.
Yeah. So a lot of times when people have the grand idea of building a home, which it is very exciting, Joe and I have built a home before.
It's awesome.
It's exciting, but there's a lot that goes into building a home, and especially because of the amount of wetlands here, that generally it can be a bit more expensive to build than it can be to buy, because the builders, they have all their systems in place and they're able to do all of that groundwork on a mass scale. So just be aware of that if you're thinking about building. It's possible, but
just thinking to be patient and give yourself enough time, both to find the right property and also in the process of building it.
Yeah. One good thing that's great about the wetlands is they provide some really nice recreational areas. So you can see we've got behind us, I don't know if we can get the camera, but down there, there's some water down there, and it's one of the ravines that are here in Olympia. But besides that, there are some really great parks. In fact, we're really close to Watershed Park, which is a beautiful park that just goes down into a ravine, and there's creeks and everything and trails.
Yep.
And then
it was original source of water for Olympia, quite frankly, not for the beer, but for the normal drinking water. So it's delightful.
And you've got Nisqually Watershed, which has got a beautiful area with all kinds of birds and areas where you can walk out over the pond, swamps and the boardwalk and all kinds of things. So it is also a benefit to have all of that here.
It does, I would say, speak to the beauty that we have in the Northwest and the desire to make sure we keep that beauty through our building codes and stuff. So just be aware, but oh my gosh, I'm very grateful we have this much water, because it is lush and gorgeous and beautiful, and it's just never ending, it seems.
Yeah. So now that you know how to navigate the wetlands and how to deal with the weather and the darkness, we are going to take you on this last little tidbit of insider information, which is the most dizzying part of everything that we've talked about today. So jump in the car with us. Let's go. Olympia area has an unlimited supply of roundabouts. I'm sure you know what a roundabout is, but we really know what roundabouts are here.
Because we are on them on a regular basis. And then sometimes do you think to yourself, man, I feel like my life is just going in circles that I hit the same spot over and over and over again. Well, welcome to Olympia's roundabouts, because we want to help invoke those feelings at a whole nother level. So we are here for you, and so are the roundabouts.
And we are going on a double roundabout now. We just took you around one, and here we go around another one. They're so close together, and there are so many of them here. We're going to take you on a tour of all of them, don't you think?
I think we should take you on a tour so you get very accustomed to every single roundabout in Olympia, Tumwater, Lacey area, and let's go. Okay, that's not gonna happen at all, because that would take us both all day, and I think I'd be throwing up at the end of this just from nausea.
Oh, I think so.
And we would have to change our insurance policy to increase our, I don't know, traffic accidents. Speaking of
traffic accidents, you are going to want to know what you're doing when you go on a roundabout, because people of our age, I'm not going to say what age we are,
but this isn't something that was part of our childhood and while we were learning. It's kind of like an iPhone. You have to get adjusted to it, because they didn't exist when I was a kid.
They did not exist when we learned how to drive, and some of us have gotten into car accidents because some of us assumed we knew what we were doing, and the way that we thought it should be done would be the right way.
And that is the story of our marriage, folks. You are now into the inside information with Joe and Charity.
It's tricky, you know, and there are some that are single lane and some that are double lane. Some where only the outside lane can exit and the inside lane can't. Some where both lanes can either go straight or exit, and that's the one that caused me a lot of trouble.
It did. It did. And bless her heart, it's all taken care of. But that was a frustrating day, folks. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get you ahead of the game so that you're aware of how to play it.
Yeah. You know, we have actually noticed an increasing number. I think it's on their city plan to put in as many possible. And surprisingly, I find myself once in a while thinking, hey, this area needs a roundabout. So we've adjusted.
We have full circle. And I will say
Full circle.
And they do help with traffic flow. That is for sure. There's one over by our house that goes to Ole High. And historically, before they put it in, it really did back up in annoying ways. Now that it's in, I'm not going to say that it's perfect, but it is a lot better than it was. So just to be aware, they are really a good thing. You just got to get used to them and know that they're around. And I really do believe, although I can't confirm this, they are part of city planning. They want to put in more because they're delightful. And here, on this little short 3-minute drive,
here we go around another one.
This is another roundabout.
Let's go all the way around just for fun.
Just for fun, because we're here. And you get to see, eventually, the fire department, which is in the background. So just kind of know that we care about your home not burning down as well. So now you know the top reasons why people struggle sometimes with living here. And we show you how you can overcome them, because it really is worth it. Matter of fact, several 100,000 people live in our little area in itself, and we find that to be amazing.
Yeah, so obviously people like living here, so they've learned to adapt and do all the things, and they understand the great benefits of living here. It's perfectly located between Seattle and Portland, so you can live in a quiet, peaceful little area and still get to the major cities that are around.
It's got a laid-back lifestyle. It's got outdoor adventures very close that you can go jump on and do, from getting close in the winter months for skiing, or outdoors on the water for sure for fishing and those type of water sport adventures. And of course, just the general hikes and natural beauty that you're in, which I think are unparalleled.
Yeah, unparalleled. Mount Rainier, you've got Mount St. Helens, you've got the Olympic National Forest, you've got the beaches, so many things that make this just a beautiful place. And because of all that rain that we mentioned, you have beautiful green landscape all the way from the ground up. In fact, right now during this time of the year, we have moss growing on the road. That seems kind of strange, but we went for a walk yesterday and the sidewalk was completely green because it's
mossy
and wet here.
Great. Our biggest recommendation that we have to our clients who are moving here, as well as just friends that live in the area, is just embrace it. If you try to fight against it, it really is too much to fight against. It's dark days, it's too much rain, all of those things. But if you decide that you want to live here, embrace it. Get the right clothes, get outdoors in the winter, get into your local favorite coffee shop, experience the life that is here, because it is well worth the rain and the dark and the little drizzly, because this is, I think, one of the beautiful places on the planet to live in for sure.
And if you think after all of this that you still might want to live here, then of course we're available to chat with you. Just go ahead and reach out on the phone number, either call or text us. Or if you want to just ask a question, you can click the link in the description below and ask us the question, and we'll shoot back a video answer to you. And if you found this video to be helpful, then make sure you keep watching the next video.